What if I would say that over the next 12 months, your favorite crypto projects would 100x, and by making just a small investment now, you'd never have to work again? Well, that would be a complete lie despite what you're seeing online.
Bitcoin's gonna hit $1 million in this decade.
10% put it in Bitcoin or Ethereum.
I can buy a Ferrari with Bitcoin.
Put $200 in it, and it could 100x, it could 1000x.
However, I do think that with the right strategy, there is a chance of making a life-changing amount of money with a small investment. In 2017, I made a $2,000 investment that ended up at one point being worth over $80,000. And then in 2020, I made a $5,000 investment that at one point ended up being worth over $330,000. However, I could have made millions if I would have just done a few things differently, which is why today I'm sharing my exact strategy on cryptos I'm buying to prepare for the next bull run, as well as price predictions I'm looking at each project to hit. But how much do you have to spend before making $1 million in the next bull run? Honestly, there will be someone out there who does it with just $1,000, but I don't think that's very realistic. But I do think $10,000 with a good strategy in play is. Now, wait. I know that sounds like a lot of money, but you can start this with even just $100. You just might have to wait till later on in the video when I talk about some riskier yet high reward projects. And check out a link to a free course I have down below where I talk about how I made my first $1 million online over the course of several years. And the only thing I ask is make sure to give this video a like and don't let me catch you going anywhere again, or we're gonna sick this guy after you. Now, there are several ways you can make money with crypto. You can trade, you can participate in decentralized finance, but where I make the most money is just by buying and holding projects in the later stages of a bear market and then selling once all of the prices appreciate. With Bitcoin, the last 3 bull runs have started 6 months after the Bitcoin halvings. And Bitcoin halvings happen every 4 years, the last one occurring in May of 2020. And it was the end of 2020 when prices really started to appreciate. And the next Bitcoin halving will happen in March of 2024. And by that logic, we have about a year left of buying cryptos at these low prices. Now, another marker that signifies the end of a bear market is just looking at all of the projects that collapsed. When Terra Luna collapsed, Bitcoin went from about $45,000 to $27,000. However, when FTX collapsed, Bitcoin only went from about $21,000 to $16,000, and it held here for 3 months despite more projects falling afterwards. So this could be a signal, keyword could, that the bear market has reached the bottom. So how exactly am I deciding what to buy? And I broke down what I'm looking at in several different categories. And inside of each category, things that I'm looking at are the leaders of each sector, who is on the team and what is their history? Is this sector still going to see growth when the next bull run happens? And the size of the project in terms of dollar evaluation. Now, this possibly could be the most controversial of my portfolio, but a lot of people say put big positions in Ethereum and Bitcoin. While that may be the case, I think if you have more than $10,000 to invest, I think that's totally fine. But if you're really trying to make $1 million off of $10,000, this is not the way to do it. Even if Ethereum's new update goes perfect, and let's say we see a $15,000 Ethereum come the next bull run, that's about a 10x. So if I put $10,000 into Ethereum, that's $100,000 return. And I say only a 7x or a 10x for 2 reasons. Some of the other cryptos or investment vehicles, if you will, are going to have the possibility for a much higher return. Now, there is a higher risk associated with projects outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum, but I know that going into this. I have other investment vehicles that I can invest my money into. There's other ways I'm making money outside of crypto by developing skills and building companies, and I would argue that a 7 to 10x over 2 years isn't that good at all. So yes, Ethereum may not be on my list, but anything I invest after $10,000, my goal is to cost average positions into Ethereum, making up about 25 to 30% of my portfolio. But my first $10,000, I'm not set on really building huge Ethereum positions. I'm starting my $10,000 portfolio with the infrastructure of blockchain by adding layer zeros through layer twos to my portfolio. The first layer zero I'm grabbing is Cosmos Atom, and Cosmos helps other blockchains talk with one another. And although it isn't the biggest, it's one of the oldest and most tested out there, and it uses a special Tendermint in order to do this. Now, as blockchain develops, I think we're going to see a growing need for the layer zeros, not just Cosmos. Now, when it comes to speculating future price points, the only reason I'm doing this is because the mistake I've made in the past is not knowing when to get out. I'll hang on for way too long. And by speculating where a crypto might go, gives me an idea of when I might sell. And so when looking at Cosmos, we can see that last bull run, it hit a previous high of $40. So if it were to 4x that, that would be a $160 coin or a $40 billion price point, which I think is definitely doable here. And that's about a 12x. Now, one of the cons with Cosmos is that compared to one of its bigger competitors, Polkadot, it is a bit more centralized. So Polkadot has about 1,000 validators right now running on its network, while Cosmos only has around 200. But because of that, I'm still putting 6.5% of my portfolio in this project. Now, for layer ones, the only layer one that I'm adding to my portfolio as of right now is Near Protocol. In terms of market cap, it's about 1% the size of Ethereum, and it can process about 100,000 transactions per second. Now, when it comes to looking at layer ones, they're technically all in competition with one another, trying to get projects to build on them. And some might say that with Ethereum's new upgrades, all of these layer ones are going to be obsolete. And I don't necessarily think that's true, because Ethereum's updates are going to take time to roll out. And not only is it just one update, but it's multiple updates over several years. So I do think that there is room for more layer ones, not just Ethereum, in the blockchain space. And similar to Ethereum, Near Protocol is using sharding, which makes it to where you don't actually have to have nodes on the network to run, which leads to infinite scalability. Now, last bull run, it hit a $12 billion market cap, and right now it's at a $2 billion market cap, which is about a 6x from where it's at now. But I do think that if Near Protocol continues building and working on their network and getting projects to build inside of their ecosystem, I think that Near can hit a $40 billion market cap, which is about a 20x from where it's at now. And I'm putting 6.5% of my portfolio into this project. Moving on to the final bit of infrastructure part of my portfolio, and I'm adding two projects. Both are layer 2 scaling systems on top of Ethereum, and those are Polygon Matic and Arbitrum. And the goal with layer 2s is to help scale on top of layer 1. Now, both of these projects do have their pros and cons. Now, Polygon is not only more secure due to its validation system, but it's also more flexible with whatever narrative Ethereum's new upgrade ends up taking. So layer 2s are still having to guess which direction Ethereum is going to take, and Matic is doing the best in this department, making sure they're prepared for whatever that is. While on the other hand, Arbitrum is taking a different approach. Arbitrum isn't quite as fast, but it's incredibly user-friendly, and right now it has quadruple the amount of dollars worth of projects inside of its ecosystem over that of Matic. And the reason why so many projects love using Arbitrum is because it uses what is called optimistic rollup technology. And essentially what's happening here is they're taking a bunch of transactions off chain, and then they combine them all into one single transaction, and they're sending it to the Ethereum network all at the same time. And this results into incredibly low gas fees and fast transactions. That being said, Arbitrum is relying on a centralized operator to achieve this, and the project does not have a token yet, but when it launches here sometime in 2023, I'll be designating 7% of my portfolio into each one of these. And when it comes to the evaluation of Arbitrum, I wouldn't be surprised to see it evaluated close to that of a competitor called Optimism, and right now it's sitting at about a $600 million market cap. And keep in mind, this is still a fraction of the market cap of that of Ethereum. Now, exchanges are the lifeblood of crypto, and it's the ground floor where all transactions take place. So having different exchanges inside of my portfolio is a key part to my strategy here. Now, the first centralized exchange I'm adding to my portfolio, and it's actually the largest crypto I'm invested in, is that of Binance, specifically the BNB token. Binance is one of the top exchanges in the world, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. And although I was able to invest in Binance around the $30 $2,000 price point, and we saw it go up to $600 last bull run. I don't see a 20x happening here again from where it's at its current price point. But I do think a $1,500 to $2,000 BNB token is completely possible, which is a 5 to 7x from where it's currently setting at. But I think given the circumstances of what happened in crypto in 2022, with the amount of fraud that was going on and the amount of people that lost money by just putting their money on exchanges, we are going to see more of an emphasis not only on decentralized exchanges, but exchanges that are more or less a hybrid going into the future. And this is why I'm only investing 3% of my portfolio into BNB. A large decentralized exchange that I'm looking at is Uniswap. And it's the largest decentralized exchange out there right now, and it's built on top of Ethereum. And despite Ethereum's new 2.0 upgrade, it's still making the move over to the Binance chain. And the reason being is it's trying to get more access to all of the DeFi protocols that are launching on the Binance chain. And given this info, I think Uniswap is going to have a major part in the next bull market, whenever that's going to happen, being the top decentralized exchange as of right now. And that's why I'm putting 6% of my portfolio into this one. Next up, the largest crypto wallet in the world with 30 million active users, MetaMask, is launching a token mid-March. And MetaMask is a company I don't see going anywhere. So when this token launches, I plan on putting 10% of my dedicated funds into this investment. Now, on token launches, there is always a chance that something pulls back, and it might, but I think long-term, the MetaMask play is something that is going to make a lot of investors happy if you can get in early and if another bull run comes through in 2025. This next section I'm dedicating to cryptos that have specific use cases, and I'm betting on these use cases to be big come the next bull run. First up is a project that's been leading the way with supply chain in blockchain companies, and that is VeChain. VeChain understands that supply chain are the veins of which our modern day world operates, but these veins can get clogged with counterfeit products. And supply chain right now is a $12 trillion industry expected to double in the next decade. And many companies and brands have to worry about their products getting counterfeited and losing billions of dollars a year. And companies that VeChain is already working with include Walmart China, BMW, and H&M, just to name a few. So you can track these products all the way from inception to the end consumer. Now, one of the bigger drawbacks with VeChain right now is that when you look at one of its competitors like Hyperledger, it doesn't have a storage center for companies' blockchain data. And this means that the only people who can view the data is the VeChain Foundation, which is more centralized in that aspect and always assumes more risk. But despite that, I'm still putting 10% of my portfolio into this company. Now, I also wanted to add a gaming metaverse project into my portfolio as well. And one company that I've talked about before is Gala Games. It's one of the bigger gaming companies out there. What makes them stand out is not only do they have real-world game developers, but they already have a handful of games that are already launched with active players under their umbrella. But the biggest risk with any crypto gaming company is which is going to be the one that can actually compete with more traditional gaming methods like PS4, Xbox, PC. Because as of right now, including Gala Games, there really isn't a game out there that people just want to play for the sake of playing. Many people just play these games because they can earn money. Now, that being said, I'm still putting 10% of my portfolio in this one. Right now, Gala Games is at 5 cents, and last bull run it hit around 70 to 80 cents. So I do think that come the next bull market, if Gala Games is actually continually working on their games, I think we can see a $1.50 Gala Games come the next bull run. Now, the last section of my portfolio I wanted to dedicate towards angel investing, and this is where I expect most of my gains to come from, but also most of my losses. And if I were to invest in 10 projects into this section of my portfolio, I would expect 5 of them to completely fail where I lose all of my money. 2 of those projects would probably be close to a break even. I might make a little bit of money, I might lose a little bit of money, and then 2 would be absolute home runs, or at least 1 would be an absolute home run that would not only carry the rest invest, but it would 100 to 1000x my original investment. And the first company that I originally came across was Neural Technologies. And this is more of a blockchain-based company with a crypto token that's going to launch sometime in the latter part of 2023. But what makes them so interesting to me and slightly controversial is that you can sell your genetic makeup or buying habits, really anything about you, to third-party companies. And the thing is that this is not only happening, but we're actually paying these companies in order to do this. And let me explain. So there's companies like 23andMe or Ancestry.com where you pay to get these genetic makeups and they'll tell you where your ancestors came from. However, we don't know what they're doing with the DNA that we're sending them. And now imagine being able to make $30, $40, $50,000 a year selling this type of information. Now that may not sound like a lot to you and you may be able to write it off, but imagine all the people in the world that don't have the luxury to write that off. What if you're only making $10,000 a year? What if you're in poverty? Yeah, you might not be able to sell your buying habits, such as what did I purchase on Amazon last week, but you could sell something else. And this is something that I'm really interested to see how this plays out. Now, another project that I've talked about on the channel before is called Element United. Now, it's a project that's focused on eliminating the negative factors associated with gold mining. So that includes damaging the environment, destroying communities, killing and endangering animals, and the list goes on. And it's partnering with gold mines and it's saying, hey, look, if you shut your doors, we're going to be able to build an ecosystem around this backed gold inside of the mine. I'm not going to go too far into it. If you want to see the video I talked about it on, it's right here. But this one is going to be a little skewed for my portfolio. So I am saying I'm only dedicating 5% of my portfolio into it. I actually have a handful of nodes and those will make Element token every single day. And those are $2,500, but they have some $25 ones down below. So even if you're playing with $100, if you wanted just one light node, you could totally grab it. And the last part of my portfolio I'm setting aside is for airdrops and meme coins. Airdrops, just projects that are going to launch throughout the year, just giving away their tokens for free. And then meme coins are just essentially tokens that have no utility, but they have a possibility of appreciating in price. And I know you may be thinking, well, why would I want to put money in meme coins? Well, you just never know what's going to end up taking off. And it doesn't have to have utility to make you money, for better or for worse with crypto. But arguably even more important than investing in the right projects is actually the time in which you invested. So investing in down times when no one's talking about crypto is usually better than when everyone starts talking about it. And if you're angry your favorite crypto didn't make it into the video, comment below what it is and why I should have mentioned it. But we still have a few months, possibly even a year or two, before this bear market fully concludes, which means that now is the best time ever to start making some money so you can start setting aside some of those profits for crypto or other types of investments. And that's why you're going to want to check out this video right here where I talk about different ways I'm making money online.